Good afternoon. Start with our usual, our quick evaluation of our last performance. Obviously, it was a discouraging performance, being our home opener, particularly starting the game the way that we started the game. Can't start games slowly. I thought we started the game slowly in all three phases. We got some 3-and-outs there initially offensively. We lost the field position battle in the kicking game, but really we lost the field position battle throughout. But I thought that first big punt return, putting those guys on the short field, was significant. And then obviously we gave up some plays there early portions of the game defensively. I think they scored 21 points, I think, in our first 15 snaps. We gained some traction. We were able to get back in the football game. But largely throughout the game, at least particularly defensively, we weren't able to minimize some of the things that produced the outcome of the game, some chunk plays, if you will. In the kicking game, we never gained the type of traction that we needed in terms of splash. I thought we controlled the field positioning element of week one. We didn't. In week two, net punting had a lot to do with it. We missed some kicks. Obviously, I thought we gained traction offensively after the first couple series. We were able to move the ball fluidly, but when we didn't have traction in the other areas, you always felt like we were playing catch-up. And so we weren't able to secure victory. We'll take those lessons. We did yesterday and analyze the video in a lot of ways, particularly on defense, particularly on special teams areas that I thought were critical in terms of the outcome of the game. But we're a team that's trying to grow and be consistent and varsity level consistency in all areas. And I think at this juncture in the season, I think that's probably what describes us if you're looking for a cumulative representation of where we are. We haven't won a game yet. We're looking for consistency in all three areas of our team, and it's popcorn. And usually that's the case when you're developing and you're trying to find traction. It's not one constant area that's below the line. It's usually popping up in a variety of areas. In week one, I thought that ball security and the turnover element of play was the significant reason why we had issues in terms of securing victory. Last week, I thought field positioning and chunk plays, field positioning in the form of special teams, net punting specifically, and chunk plays that were produced against us in a variety of ways defensively. If you look specifically at the chunk plays, it was a variety of people and concepts. We just got to keep working. We can't blink in the face of adversity. There's always going to be adversities in these journeys. We're starting in the face of some. You don't get to pick and choose oftentimes the adversity that you face, and when you face it, I know that you better respond to it appropriately. That's some of the things that we've been talking about as we prepare for this next game, is the response, not the reaction. Reaction is without thought at times. It's emotional, et cetera. We want to respond to the adversity that we're facing. And so we want to proceed with thought. We want to put together a good plan. Want to utilize guys in the right ways in an effort to increase our chance for victory. And where we're going and when we're playing is significant, We're on the road. We're playing on primetime television on Monday night in Tampa. They're honoring Coach Dungy, a guy that I personally got a great deal of respect for. So you can anticipate the type of environment that our football team is going into. One that we can't shy away from, one that I'm excited about, to be quite honest with you. I think all of us that are competitors in this business, you get fired up about staring adversity in the face, and particularly adversity that you've created coupled with the natural adversity that the game of football provides all of us over the course of these journeys that we're on. So I'm excited about getting started. We're in the process of doing that. We got some work to do, so obviously we don't hate the extra day preparation. If you look at Tampa, and I'll talk about them some, you'll see what I'm talking about in reference to that. I think they're playing really good football. And let's start off first with their offense. Fitz, I think, is leading the league in passing. Man, he's got some explosive weapons. He's stepping in for Winston, but, Fitz is not a step-in guy. This guy started in multiple cities. We've seen him some extensively in Cincinnati and Buffalo. He's a smart guy, Ivy League educated. He's always made good decisions. That's why he's been able to sustain himself and play for the length of time that he's played. He's playing really well right now in the environment that he's playing in. He's got some nice weapons. Starts with Mike Evans, first rounder, big, big ex-receiver type, makes good combat catches, physical in the run game. He's got a very complete game. Physicality is an element of his play. He's big, but he also plays big. Deshaun Jackson can take the top off. He has always been a big play guy, man. He's probably 10 years in or so now. This guy has been at the forefront of that area with guys like Mike Wallace and others, man, since he's been in the league. He's always capable of doing that. They got a quality tight end they drafted out of Alabama in O.J. Howard, who's produced some splash, who's big play capable. They're capable of displacing him from the formation and attacking you vertically. They've spread some people out. They've controlled games. They got a complement of backs, guys that they're utilizing. I know they lost a back, their featured back in the offseason, but I like what's transpired with the other guys. They got a nice division of labor there. They got talent up front. They do a great job. They acquired a center from Baltimore. They were able to move Marpet to guard. I think that's really solidified them inside. They got good quality tackles, one of them being Donovan Smith, a Penn Stater. We looked at a couple years ago when he came out. Really quality players on offense, producing chunks. Those chunks are producing points. As we prepare for them, obviously, we got to play a solid, complete game. But given their two-game resume in terms of the big plays that they've been able to produce and what's happened with us in the last stadium that we've been in, obviously working to minimize chunk plays is a significant element of preparation and quality play for us. On the defensive side of the ball, man, really it's about some high-level people and some acquisitions. Jason Pierre-Paul is a quality end, has been for a long time, a guy that sets a really good edge, does an awesome job in the run game, really does a great job of breaking the pocket down versus the play pass. In the passing game in general, they're employing him some inside and sub. So you couple him with Warren inside, man, what a formidable tandem they are. Warren is Warren. He's a perennial Pro Bowl-like guy whose problems from a matchup standpoint for guards. They play a lot of people like a lot of four-down teams do in terms of their rushman rotation. They get quality contributions from a lot of people. Will Ghost and Michigan State, or worthy Michigan Stater. They picked up Carl Nassib from Cleveland. We were preparing to play him a couple weeks ago. He's got into the fold quickly over there and providing some quality snaps for him. You know, regular 4-3 type things, quality rushman, deep group there. At the linebacker level, can't say enough about they're all situations players. Quan Alexander, Levante David, they basically play all downs. They're versatile. They're knowledgeable. They read and diagnose extremely quickly. They're rangy. Speed guys. Had an opportunity to look at Quan down there in Orlando at the Pro Bowl and watch him work. This is a guy that can cover a lot of grass on the football field, vertically and horizontally. They're a run-and-hit group. They've gotten the lead. They produced some big plays that's allowed them to pin their ears back and cover ground with those second-level defenders I talked about, rush the passer with those four-man rush group I've talked about, and consequently they produced a lot of splash, some turnovers. They caused fumbles. They've been able to control the game from that aspect as well. Scoop and score, if you will. So we got a lot of things to stimulate us, man, as we start this week's prep. You know, on the injury front, got a couple things to manage and watch. A couple of existing injuries. DeCastro's got a chance as he works his way back with his hand. We'll watch his participation during the week. Alou, same thing as he works his way back from his shoulder. Got a couple new ones to manage and watch. Gilbert with a hamstring, and Ramon Foster is managing the knee. We'll watch those guys through the week and see how they go. I didn't mention Joe Hayden. He had a good week rehabilitation. We're anticipating him working, but again, we'll let the result of that work and the quality of that work be our guide in terms of determining his availability. I'll be happy to address any questions you might have.
Coach, you've acknowledged that this is now a passing league. You seem to have addressed this through hybrid linebackers to cover running backs, tight ends, your safety strong, but yet you got lit up by Jacksonville for 45, and Combs comes in for 6. Is it time to think about the scheme that you're playing, or is it the way you're using your personnel
You know, I'm not ready to paint with a broad brush. You know, really I'm focused on this group this year. I acknowledge that that's been an issue in the past. It was an issue last week. I'm really focused on what's going on in terms of the work that we've put in as a staff, in terms of acknowledging and responding to that, coupled with the personnel that we have now. Last week can't be a representation of us in that regard. Hopefully it's not. We look forward to working this week to prove that. I know that we're faced with a formidable challenge in the form of Fitz and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that's going to allow us to maybe bear that out.
Was communication in the secondary a large part of the problem?
You know, it was some technical, it was some communication. It was popcorn, to be quite honest, which is really what I described early. It was not one particular guy. It was not one particular scheme or concept. Really, it occurred in a variety of ways and a variety of circumstance, which is obviously not acceptable.
We hear a lot about Steeler decisions and Steeler plays. Do you make the calls down and down on defense?
I do not, no.
All right, anyone else?
Mike, what was your reaction to Antonio Brown tweeting to a former employee that he criticized his place at Trey being, let's find out?
You know, again, like I said last week, I'm not going to openly talk about a lot of things that occur in social media. You could be chasing that always. I will say this, it's important that we understand our position, the light that shined on us and the responsibility that comes with it. There's been a couple of instances now where you've asked me about Antonio regarding some social media-like things. I'll address that and address that very directly with him, but I'll leave that between he and I. I'm not going to utilize this forum to address such things. I just don't believe it's appropriate. I think that this forum is a very professional one. We got a lot of football things to talk about. You know, performance, personnel, opportunities, challenges that the game of football presents. I always want to take that road when I'm standing in front of this podium representing this league. That's just how I choose to approach it.
Mike, was he here yesterday?
He was not. No, I'm looking forward to visiting with him today and discussing that and some other things. I'm not going to get into the details of why he wasn't here or whether he was excused and all of those things. I just assume leave those things in-house. I understand sometimes you got some negativity. You know, we lost a football game. There were some negative exchanges on the sideline. There's frustration associated with not playing well and not winning. I understand all that. There's opportunities for us to respond to it, particularly the early portions of the year, to utilize negative experiences and things that occur to educate our team at this point in the journey so that it becomes a non-factor as we move forward. That's generally the approach that we take in non-football related things such as social media, decorum, and et cetera. So hopefully that'll be the last time I'll be discussing things such as that in this setting.
Mike, there was at least one time where social media decorum got in the way of football where you had to suspend Martavis for something that had to do with
but that was very different. That was player among player. That's player relations. I'm not getting into what happens in that gray atmosphere out there among people where there's very little accountability and things of that nature. I'm just, you know, that's just not my bag.
Where I was going is, would it behoove you guys, like you said you want to do on an individual basis with Antonio, but would it behoove you or the team to have a more ironclad policy about it?
You know, I'll let you make those judgments. Again, I've expressed my position, what I intend to do, our approach to it. I've been pretty clear about it with you guys, I think. But unfortunately, I've been given several opportunities to be. And so we'll address it and we'll move on from it.
Is that part of it getting frustrating for you when it's the same person over and over again?
I'm focused on real legitimate things, okay? Seriously. We gave up a few big plays. We're playing a team that's big play capable. You know, we haven't won a game yet. You know, those are the real things, you know.
Mike, did he give you any inclination why he didn't show? I hope to find that out today.
Again, I'm going to visit with Antonio, and I tend to do so today. I just haven't done it yet. You know, I may or may not provide details relative to some of the things that you guys are asking. I just want to stay focused on what's real and what's important, our preparation, and ultimately our play this week, and not only ours collectively, but his included.
Mike, is Antonio asked to be traded?
No.
Mike, in the last couple of games against Kansas City, you had real good success with Kelsey, not so this past Sunday. Is that partially because of the addition of Sammy Watkins, another threat, or you had Shazier to deal with him before this?
You know, it's probably a combination of all the things that you talked about, but that's the same every year. You know, matchups, the nature of matchups change year in and year out. We've played them in the past. They've had significant components that they've lost also. You know, Derek Johnson has been a significant component of that series in the past, and he wasn't in this one. People come and go for us, for them. That'll always be the case when you're talking about common opponents and people that you see a lot.
Coach, the offensive line gave Ben a lot of time to throw. That, coupled with the fact that he was able to spread the ball around to different receivers, is that a sign of success with Coach Fitch's offense at this point?
Again, I'm not trying to paint with a broad brush in any area, whether it's positive or negative 2 weeks in. I'm not. You know, I'm just working to win a football game. There'll be time for that, particularly as our body of work gets bigger, as we step into more stadiums. I'm not looking for comfort in that regard. What I'm seeking is victory. We got to win a game. We got to win a game this week.
Mike, are you comfortable with Jordan Berry as your punter, or
I'm not comfortable with the results I've seen thus far. It's got to be better. I thought field position was significant in terms of how that game unfolded. Net punting. They did an awesome job, and we got to do better.
Punting out of bounds on purpose at any point in that game?
Yeah, we were trying to minimize their return man's impact on the game for sure, but even with some of that directional stuff, I thought we could have been better. It's reasonable to expect us to be better.
Are you working anybody out this week?
We may.
How much was your tight end usage dictated by Vance McDonald's coming back from the footage?
It wasn't, we want to utilize all our eligibles. Jesse has been included a lot in the past, and particularly in the recent past. So I don't think that's reflective of anything, the tight end usage relative to Vance's availability.
Mike, you had Sutton and Sensabaugh rotating in a corner. What did you think about them platooning in that way, and is that something you'd rather do?
You know, I thought they had their moments. I thought at times their work lacked a little detail. They could be better. We'll see where it leads us. Right now, we're anticipating Joe working, and so we'll see where that work leads us. But we could have been better there, but we all could have been better. Starting first with myself in terms of some of the things that we did in that football game.
Strong safety still working itself out.
Both guys play because Morgan plays a lot of sub-package linebacker. Both guys will continue to play. We like those guys. Those guys are going to be part of the reasons why we're successful. We'll continue the growth and development in terms of the division of labor at that position.
Mike, football-wise with Antonio, he's getting the targets. He's still getting lots of targets. Can you explain, is he just not getting the separation to get as wide open as he normally does for Ben to make those targets completions, or what's your evaluation been there?
People, I'd imagine, spend a lot of time, particularly in the offseason, working to minimize Antonio's impact in football games, particularly people that you play at the early portions of the year and they get the schedule and they know that they're going to see you. So, I wouldn't overreact in any way in terms of what's transpiring with his usage or things that people are doing to defend him. The more we play those things, level themselves out. This guy's a significant guy. He's been a significant reason why we've been successful around here. He's going to continue to be. It's just things that happen probably at the initial portions of the season as you work to gain traction, as you see some new and different things that people have been working on, as you see some of the things that people are doing to work to minimize his impact on the game.
How do you typically handle when a coach and a player have a confrontation on the sideline?
It starts first and foremost with them, and then if it requires me, we'll address it. We acknowledge that, tempers are going to flare from time to time, and we got people that want to win. We got players that want to win. We got coaches that want to win. We're not bashful about the pursuit of it.
Coach, at the beginning of the press conference, you mentioned Tony Dungy, a man who played here with the Steelers. Can you talk about his influence in your growth and maturation in the league?
Man, I could talk. I wouldn't know where to shut up, Coach just provided a daily blueprint with how he approached it. He was just himself every day. It was a steady focus and compass through unsteady waters that can be an NFL season. I felt that working for him is steady leadership. Guys knew where they stood with him. He was a clean communicator, and I think that those are some of the key ingredients that allowed him to be successful in multiple places, successful for an extended period of time. He's worthy of the honor that he's gotten and he's getting this upcoming Monday night.
Mike, I think 2 of the past 3 years you got brought in a tight end as the number 1 guy, but Jesse's been able to fight through that. How do you think he's approached that to get past that and continue to?
You know, we don't necessarily identify people as a number one or a number two. We've brought tight ends in to supplement and help our offense. And in many cases, we play with multiple tight ends. So I'm not necessarily saying that somebody is one and somebody's two. Jesse knows he's going to be a part of what we do, and he's been a part of what we do. And we appreciate his contributions, and he's improving in all areas over the course of his career here. And so the presence of others should not change that or his approach in any way, and I don't believe that it has.
How much has his blocking improved this year, it seems like?
You know, I think he's gotten better in all areas. But again, 2 games in, I'm not trying to paint with a broad brush on any subject, you know, and talk about trends and things of that nature. We played 2 football games.
Mike, is Boswell's mechanics off, or is it something with the snap and the hold?
Again, you know, he's missed a couple kicks. I'm not painting with a broad brush at this juncture.
They've managed to be that good passing without much help from their run. I think they're averaging like 2.5 yards per carry. Does that just speak to the talent and the way those guys are hooking up right now, the diversification of the passing game? Or
it's the style of play, the diversification of the passing game. It's the game environment in which they play. That's the style of ball that New Orleans plays. That's really kind of the style of ball maybe that they play in that division some. You know, I think as they step into more stadiums and the volume of work gets bigger, you'll be able to, you know, assess some of that. I just think at this point, you better appreciate what they've done through 2 games and be prepared to minimize it.
Mike, given your history as a defensive coach and the Steelers' history as a defensive-oriented team, with the success they've had, how frustrating is it to deal with a game like you had on Sunday?
It'd been less frustrating had we won, you know, and so I don't want to miss that point. We step into stadiums to win games. You know, we turned the ball over 6 times in Cleveland, but had we won, it'd have stung less. We gave up 6 touchdown passes on Sunday. Had we won, it would have stung, but it would have stung less. Our business is winning, so we focus our efforts there, and if there's frustration is centered around the pursuit of victory.
Coach, ultimately the fan that buys the tickets to the game, the beer and the jerseys outside of this building supports this team week in and week out, and nationally and locally the rumblings are deafening about team turmoil, the team lack of focus, maturity. What do you say to Steelers Nation at this point?
I've said repeatedly the same thing that I've said to you guys, man, over the course of this press conference, man. We're 2 weeks in. You know, we don't have a large body of work. We're focused on winning this next opportunity. I'm not ready to paint with a broad brush. I'm just not. I'm sensitive to our fans and the entertainment of our fans, the pursuit of victory for them. Steeler Nation is our driving force in terms of how we approach and pursue victory. So I'm not sensitive to those things, but in no way am I painting with a broad brush 2 weeks in terms of where our football team is or what's going to define this group of people that is our football team in 2018.